So as a closing meditation, I'd like to give a guided meditation on the elements. And this particular kind of meditation brings home the insight into emptiness, into not self, anatta. And it doesn't, mean nothingness, but it's just the denial of a permanent, unchanging self. So, we do experience ourselves as somebody with a name and a birth date and a passport and all of that. But we are not like an unchanging entity. So it's a process. And that's what the word anatta or not self or the Mahayana is called emptiness expresses. Empty of a self, or also, saying not existing from its own side, but it's a coming together of causes and conditions. And through this meditation, we can have an insight into that. So starting with finding a posture you can sustain for about 45 minutes or so. So that meditation, is supposed to alter the sense of who we are by letting go of extra luggage, of extra assumptions through this reality check, as when Namadita was saying about, touching reality with the body, having like a personal experience of that truth. And then if we are really available for that experience, fully available, it will change us. So it's first we get information, you listen, what I'm saying, and then, you start to meditate in that way. So you gain some knowledge, some experience, and then through repetition, familiarization, you make that really your own knowledge and it becomes part of your being. It becomes an intuitive knowing, which is another word for wisdom, that's something then you carry into any other experience in your life. And that's why we are doing this. So it's a process which helps us to disidentify, to deconstruct habitual ways of thinking about experience by directly being in connection with the way things are. Really have this relationship. And then, through that direct connection, that direct relationship, we feel enriched, by being really fully in the present moment. And then the mind from that dance of feeling enriched and feeling full and feeling really connected, it's much easier to let go. So find a posture, and then you're becoming aware of the body, sitting and breathing in and breathing out. And we start with earth element. And again, we can tap our teeth together to have just like a visceral direct experience of hardness, solidity, structure. That's what the earth element is all about. And we can connect with it in particular in our bones, teeth, and nails. So we start on the top of the head by just noticing hardness in the skull bones. in the jaw, and coming down to the neck, shoulder bones, upper arms, lower arms, the hands, feeling the hardness. And then the torso with the spine and the rib cage, the hip bones, pelvis, the thigh bones, lower legs, and the feet. Hardness, earth element. And then we can also feel another sense of gravity, which keeps us connected with the planet, feeling the weight of our body on the cushion or on the chair. But this internal earth element and external earth element are exactly the same. There's a constant interchange happening. And if we don't eat for 1 or 2 months, the body will not be able to sustain itself. There's no input, no output, body will die. And I think it said within 7 years, all of the building blocks of the body are completely exchanged. So all 7 years we have a completely new body. And then we come to the next element, which is water element, which the function of water element is cohesion and liquidity, fluidity, and we can connect with it, in particular in the mouth, in the eyes, maybe on the palms of our hands. And we do another scan and connecting with the water element in the flesh, in form of the blood. Just while I do the guidance of the scanning, no need to do anything in particular, just being aware of there is water element. Starting with the feet. If there wouldn't be water element, the earth element would just be powdery and just not take any shape, any form, because water element is the cohesion, the binding. So from the feet, we scan up to the lower legs, the flesh in the lower legs, upper legs, pelvis area, torso. There's lots of organs in there. The hands, lower arms, upper arms, the shoulders, neck, the head. Water element. And water element internally and water element externally as lakes and rain and oceans and rivers. It's exactly the same. Constant exchange happening. And if we don't drink for a few days, the body will die. this body exists, you know, it's about over 70% water. So it's the element which is the most represented in the body of a creature like us. And then as we age, you know, we dry up, we get wrinkles, the lips get dry. Then we come to the next element, which is fire element, which we meet as heat or temperature, energy. And the function of it is to mature. The warmth comes, you know, from our star, the sun. And then we kind of take in the warmth through either, you know, by being in the sun out there, or we eat something which grows, you know, in sunlight, and or we use fossil fuels or solar energy or all different kinds of energy, but it all links back to the sun. That's where the heat comes from in this part of the cosmos. And we can feel the heat on the surface of our skin. For example, you know, under our arms, the armpits, and on the palms of the hand, I suppose, and also in the mouth. So now we're scanning down from the top of the head, just seeing, you know, is there some heat element to be discerned? The head, mouth, neck, shoulders, the heat in the armpits, upper arms, lower arms, and palms of the hand, torso. The chest is going on in there, which also produces heat element. Pelvis, upper legs, lower legs, and feet. A heat element. So also in constant exchange with the environment. And if we, you know, do not have enough heat for a certain amount of time, the body will die. So, you know, we have invented a lot of good stuff in terms of clothing and heating and so on, or air conditioning, to deal with that sensitivity of our bodies. And we indeed, you know, we can go to many, many places with a huge range of temperature. So the heat element externally and internally is exactly the same. Constant interchange happening there too. Next element is wind element, which we can connect with through the breathing process. And if the mind is really sensitive, we can, you know, when we're breathing in, we can feel that all the way down to the tips of the toes and the tips of the fingers. And, you know, the air element, wind element, represents movement and mobility and vibration as well. They are the life force, which, you know, makes the whole, all of the elements they have a certain vibration, oscillation. That's the wind element. And we can feel it, when we are breathing in and breathing out, but we can also feel it around us, where it touches the body. Maybe if you have a fan on, you can feel it. So just becoming aware of the breathing. An air element internally and air element externally is exactly the same. If we don't breathe, for a few minutes, 2 minutes or so, we will die. And the air which we are breathing in has been breathed out by someone else. And, the trees are in particularly very much involved in producing the oxygen for us. This planet millions of years ago wouldn't have been possible for us to live here, but once the plants came, they transformed a lot of what was possible here by producing oxygen. So we are in this total interchange with the trees. So breathing in, being aware of earth element, and then relaxing and letting go out into space. And maybe also remembering George Floyd, whose last words were, "I can't breathe." He was saying, "I can't breathe," and he was calling out for his mother. And then the next element is the space element. We're just becoming aware of space as we are breathing out. Space which doesn't end at the walls of this room. It's just expanding. This cosmos, this universe is in a phase of expansion right now. And space element internally, in terms of the cavities of the body, like the ears, the mouth, stomach, the womb, the nose. Space element internally and externally, it's the same. And just becoming aware of boundless space. And if that's kind of difficult, you could just imagine listening to the boundless space, the silence. Allowing the mind to expand. And maybe, you hear a certain sound of silence or oscillation of matter. If you don't hear it, it's both is fine. But just staying with the listening. And if the mind contracts again around the thought or some story, as soon as you notice it, just drop the story, drop the thought with a smile and come back to listening to the silence. And then, dropping the silence, dropping the space, and just being aware of that which knows the space, that which knows the silence, which is also boundless. The knowing, awareness, being aware of awareness. Like a cloudless sky. And if a little cloud is coming through, just let it do its thing. No need to get involved with it. But if you get dragged into a story, then as soon as you notice it, just come back to the body breathing. And then again, relaxing into space, becoming aware of the boundlessness of it. And then dropping the space, dropping the silence, and just being aware of that which knows. The cloudless sky, so to say. So that's, we don't no longer have an object, just subject being aware of itself. Awareness being aware of itself. And then we drop the ego behind that, just resting as awareness. No subject, no object. Empty of a self. Dropping the burden of the ego. So what's left is the concept of empty. Like a temporary liberation of the mind. And if a few little clouds move through the sky, just let them go on. No need to get involved. And in case you get hijacked into a story or into a strong emotion, just come and investigate the Vedana, the feeling tone, state of mind, the mood of the mind, and then just slowly coming back to the body breathing, and just this whole instructions to just follow them step by step, and then end up again with being aware of awareness itself and resting there And familiarizing ourselves with that clarity and ease of mind, joy, the contentment of just being in the present moment, sense of relief, not wanting anything, not wanting anything, just being. Just being the knowing, effortless. We still are aware, I'm aware of the sound of the fan in the computer, birds outside, the gravity which keeps me from floating away into space. I can feel my belt around my waist. All of those things is effortless. I don't have to do anything for it to be known. It's nothing to do with me. And that's, touching the experience of temporary liberation of the mind, that direct experience, rather than reading about it or hearing about it, having that direct experience and building that confidence. And then you stay like that for as long as you can or as long as you wish. And then for the last few minutes of the meditation, coming back to noticing impermanence through being aware of the breathing again. And if there's a sense of loss, because it was a very beautiful, spacious meditation, then just noticing the slight grasping for that, clinging. And this is also impermanent. It's temporary liberation of the mind. We can come back to it. And this insight into awareness, which knows phenomena, it's very pivotal for the practice. There's the knowing and that which is known. There is that which knows and the objects which are known. And the objects are unsatisfactory, impermanent, and they lack a self. And that which knows, we can, anytime we remember, we can come back to that and rest in the knowing. The refuge of Buddha. The capacity, we all have the same capacity as Gautama Buddha, who so well formulated this teaching, but we all have the same capacity. And through this training, we are, step by step shifting the identification from those ever-changing phenomena which can be known to the knowing. So a good example for that would be, somebody steps on your toe and you feel anger arising. And instead of becoming the angry one who is like saying something nasty, we just know there's anger. And then we choose to say something or not. It's like a hairbreadth of a difference, but it makes a huge difference in our lives. Because, problems will still arise, but we'll meet them with awareness rather than becoming completely swallowed up in them. And this capacity for awareness, this is, what this whole training is about. And, we hope that you have benefited from these 2 days with us. And we'd like to end with a blessing chant. May you have every good blessing. May all the devas protect you. By the power of all the Buddhas, may you ever be well. May you have every good blessing. May all the devas protect you. By the power of all the Dhamma, may you ever be well. May you have every good blessing. May all the devas protect you. By the power of all the Sangha, may you ever be well. So before we leave, we just would like to share a few more words with you.